What is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today I'm back in Forza Horizon 2 with a 2013 SRT Viper that I like to call the Beast. Now, the reason why I call it the Beast is because I haven't actually figured out yet what this car is for. I was originally intending to build it for drag racing, but after building it for drag racing, I actually maxed out the horsepower and found that it was so crazy that I was having actually a lot of trouble just controlling it, even in a straight line. So you guys will see what I mean when I do a burnout in third gear. And that was from, like I said, a dead stop in third gear. And you could forget about first and second. This thing doesn't even know they exist. It just spins them up immediately. Doesn't even know they exist. You just tap the throttle a tiny little bit, and you're 100% sideways. So, like I said, haven't really figured out yet what this car's for, and I'm going to go ahead and actually get that skill point. Nothing really I want right now, but I still wanted to show you guys the car, because even though I don't have a real purpose for the build yet, whether it be drifting or drag racing or whatever it turns out to be, the craziness of this car is something you have to kind of build one for yourself to actually see. Because, for example, you get a little straightaway, fourth gear, 4,000 RPM, and floored. Still going. Still going. Still going like crazy. Ugh! And it saved us from a horrible, nasty collision, but the big thing about this car is that you could discount it for being too crazy, or you could discount it for being not useful for drag racing or drifting, because it's like I said, it's too crazy. But think of this. Think of the fact that it's running 365s in the back and 305s up front. Not only is that a huge stagger, but the size of those rear tires is completely off the charts. And also, to be able to just get into it and immediately get this kind of speed out of it is insane. I mean, you could argue the fact that, well, the Hennessy Venom is faster, the Veyron is faster. Well, I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. Those cars, you expect them to be that fast. This car, you expect it to be fast, but you don't expect it to be quite this fast. I mean, no, everybody knows that a Viper isn't slow. That's just kind of a given. But it doesn't. But a stock Viper won't do this. And you have to be on your game when you get on it in this car, because if you're not, you will wind up in the back of someone else's car immediately, guaranteed. But if you can control it, it is an absolute blast to drive. And the thing about it is, if you're touchy with the throttle and you know how much or how little you can give it for every situation, then you can actually make a pretty effective car out of this thing. And that's not to say that it's any circuit monster or anything like that, but it's not totally useless for circuit-style racing either. I mean, like I said, right now, I'm just controlling the throttle just enough to where I'm not getting wheel spin all the time, and the thing about it when you do that is it goes from being a wild, crazy lunatics car to being a very fast, very effective machine. Now, granted, it's not going to have the precision of something like, I was about to say a Porsche 911, but they're not in this game. Something like, say, a Ferrari 458, even though it's not going to have that degree of precision, it's kind of like, I can almost relate it to I can almost relate it to a sledgehammer on one hand, but it's also got a little bit of precision to it, and when you start to think of sledgehammer and precision, they don't really mix, But when you start to think about it more, that's really what this car boils down to when you really think about it. It's got more precision than a lot of people think. You just got to really pull it out of the car. You have to work for that precision. You have to find that precision. You have to dig for it. But once you find it, and once you actually dig for it, the reward is brilliant, because, like I said before, it can go from being a wild, crazy lunatic's car to being an extremely fast, extremely effective machine. And I'll see if I can... Oh boy! I'll see if I can demonstrate that for you guys in a minute, once I get on some roads that are a little bit twistier. But you can actually... Wow! Okay. I didn't even see that Subi. The Enzo just pulled out, and I had no time. Nice C7. But the other cool thing about this car, though, is the fact that it's got so many personalities. You could consider it a bad thing, but honestly, I kind of consider it a good thing, because it means you could just do so much with it. You can go from racing around a... I was about to say a street circuit, but that would be a track. You could just go from regular racing to roll racing, like 50 roll stuff on the highway, to drifting, like we're doing right now. It all depends on how you actually control the car, and how much of that throttle you apply. And keep in mind, the only tuning I've done to it really so far is the gearing, and I shortened up a couple of gears just because the Viper comes with really long gear ratios, and they weren't the most optimal for the application that I was using the car for in the beginning, which was drag racing, specifically highway drags, roll racing, and stuff like that. It's not that good from a dig, as I mentioned earlier, just because of the fact that it will immediately spin up first and second and third if you're not careful. But when it comes down to it, it lands itself more in a spot of, I wouldn't say it's a quote-unquote driver's car in the same way that the Toyota 86 is, but it is a driver's car in the way that it challenges the driver to adapt to whatever situation he or she is actually in. Like if you're in a drifting situation, then you have to control how the car is actually performing when it's going sideways, how it's actually balanced when it's sideways. If you're in a drag racing situation, you have to be extremely touchy with the throttle and know exactly how to put that power down to get a good launch, to get a good run altogether, really. And if you're in a circuit racing situation, then it's all down to really how you can control the car through the corners, how you can control it. Okay. That'll count as a wall tap. But really how you can control the car through the corners, how you can control it on the straights. And it's a really good car to challenge yourself, really. And you don't really find that being a big thing that people build cars for. They don't really build cars that much to be a challenge. They build cars to make a certain type of racing simpler, and that's why you build a car. You build a car to make that certain application, to make it simpler to use for that certain application, like drag racing or circuit racing or drifting or what have you. But when you build a car to be a challenge, it takes on a different kind of personality, because at that point it's more on you rather than being on the car as to whether you can actually pull off the maneuvers you're going for. And that can really help your skill as a driver, depending on what kind of driving you're doing. And I'm not saying that... Wow, it's thought I said Anna. Oh, that's gone well. Oh boy. Damn it. But the biggest thing about it is that, yes, I wouldn't recommend doing like a max power build on this car if you want something that's going to be 100% effective. Like if you're just looking for effectiveness, this is not the car for you. Look elsewhere. But if you want something that's a challenge, and you want something that's going to not only hone your skills, but I wouldn't say just hone your skills. I would say it hones your skills as a driver and as a tuner, because if you want to tune this thing, you also have to be very specific with your tune, because in all of the instances where I've tried to tune it for anything aside from drifting, you really have to be precise. Otherwise, you're really not going to have the outcome you want. So if you're looking for a car that poses a challenge, this car is definitely one to look at. The Viper SRT GTS, or the SRT Viper GTS, I think I said that backwards, or at least the 2013 model, is definitely something to look at if you're into a challenge, if you're into just wanting a car that you'll pretty much never get bored with, because it's always going to be changing it up on you. It really is. That's what this thing does, is it always changes the scenario up on you, no matter what you're doing with it. And it kind of goes along with the personality of the car, the personality of the Viper in general, because it's just kind of got that reputation. But it translates over well to the game, and not only in stock form. I tried to do a barrel roll and failed miserably. Yeah, that was miserable. But it not only transfers over well in the game in stock form, but also, like I said before, when you build it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later.